Jo mamevang asabudho janati purushottamam sasarvavid bhajati mang sarvabhavena bharata. Translation, whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality, Godhead, without doubting, is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata, Arjuna. Prabhupada's purport. There are many philosophical speculations about the constitutional position of the living entities and the Supreme Absolute Truth. Now in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna to be the Supreme Person actually knows everything. The imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the Absolute Truth, but the perfect knower, not wasting his valuable time, engages directly in Krishna consciousness, the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Throughout the whole of Bhagavad Gita, this fact is being stressed at every step. And still there are so many stubborn commentators on Bhagavad Gita who consider the Supreme Absolute Truth and the living entities to be one and the same. Monism. Vedic knowledge is called Shruti, learning by oral reception. One should actually receive the Vedic message from authorities like Krishna and his representatives. Here, Krishna distinguishes everything very nicely, and one should hear from this source. Simply to hear like the hogs is not sufficient. In other words, hearing the physical sound, but not hearing with understanding. Not hearing with understanding. Compared here to hearing like the hogs. Simply to hear like the hogs is not sufficient. One must be able to understand from the authorities. It is not that one should simply speculate academically. One should submissively hear from Bhagavad Gita that these living entities are always subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone able to understand this, according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, knows the purpose of the Vedas. No one else knows the purpose of the Vedas. The word bhajati is very significant. In many places, the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with service to the Supreme Lord. If a person engages in full Krishna consciousness in the devotional service of the Lord, it is understood that he has understood all of Vedic knowledge. In the Vaishnava Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in Krishna's devotional service, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the Supreme Absolute Truth, because that person has already come to the point being engaged in the Lord's devotional service. He has ended all preliminary processes of understanding. But if anyone, after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives, which is a long time, after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives, if one does not come to the point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then one has to surrender there, all one's speculations for so many years and lives is a useless waste of time. Well, tell him like it is. It's very straight talk from a pure devotee. So, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Uttale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Vidamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayani This verse occurs, of course, within a context. It is a text within a context. Colon, in Spanish means with, together. And so every text, or this text, appears with other texts. And so all the texts together, of course, is called the context. And Prabhupada here in his purport is emphasizing, or is speaking strongly against monism. Monism, which means oneism. Mono, one. The idea that there's only one ultimate reality, and that our individual existence is not permanent, is not a permanent fact, and that the difference between ourselves and God is only an appearance, and that actually everything is, there's simply one impersonal spiritual reality. Shankar taught something like this. There was an old song, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. I don't know if that's ever been quoted in a Gaudiya Vaishnava lecture. But anyway, so basically the reason I bring this up is because Shankar's philosophy is basically when Maya hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's diversity. The idea is that we are individual. The idea is that when the absolute, or the soul, or Brahman, literally when illusion hits us, our consciousness, then we begin to see there are many things in the world. It's almost like, let's say, if there's some water on your windshield or something while you're driving, and you start to see, when you see the lights coming at you, you see the lights split up into many parts. And so the idea is that that consciousness, when it passes through an illusion, sees diversity. Anyway, I don't want to get too technical about this because it's actually not such a great idea. For one thing, there's all kinds of problems with this. First of all, if there's only one reality, which is Brahman, there's no second thing, then how could there be illusion? And Shankar and later his followers have spent centuries trying to explain this, and no one's really satisfied yet. So, because obviously there's at least two things, knowledge and illusion, and then if one soul becomes enlightened, why aren't all souls enlightened? Because all souls are really the same soul. So either we have a case of a sort of a horrendous instance of split personalities type of, what do they call that? What's that? Schizophrenia. It's like this unbelievable case of like cosmic schizophrenia, where one soul thinks that it is trillions of souls. But anyway, if the reality is that we are one soul and one soul is enlightened, then there wouldn't be anyone not enlightened because everyone is the same thing. It's not a great idea. And there's a reason why people who teach monism at a certain point kind of run out of philosophical gas and resort to that old dirty trick. It can't be explained in words. So, interestingly, the people that claim that the truth can't be explained in words usually write more books than anyone else. That was even pointed out, by the way, when I was younger than I am now. In the 1960s, late 60s, when I was an undergraduate at UC Berkeley, I had a young German professor teaching a course on contemporary German literature, and in that course we read Siddhartha. And in that book, Hermann Hesse has Siddhartha, the Buddha, saying that the truth can't be spoken in words. And the professor was kind of mocking this because he said that, yeah, he says this with words on page 20. He also says it on page 33. In other words, it's like never say never, the obvious contradiction. So in any case, Krishna here, apart from the obvious fallacies in any attempt to deny the reality of variety, or the reality of oneness. I mean, it's also, the fact is that there is a real sense in which we are all one. I mean, if you think, for example, to give a mundane example, one is given by the Acharyas, imagine when two people fall in love, or believe they have fallen in love. Obviously, as a sannyasi, I must maintain a certain skepticism about this. Anyway, imagine two people that believe they've fallen deeply in love. So, before this happened, you have, let's be old-fashioned, talk about a boy and a girl. So, before they fall in love, this is an individual boy, and this is an individual girl. So they're obviously two different people. Then after they fall in love, in one sense, they're